Do you notice photographers wear boxing gloves when they're doing me? I was at the City Chambers and they said, make yourself at home, so I ran out and punched a photographer. You give Glasgow that name, Mr. Connolly. Well, you're shouting and you're bawling in your strange clothes. And another thing, I think you're a bastard. Probably pick your nose and play cards. And interfere with children. You get that look about you, you big pervert. Yes, why do you think that makes you smart? I wish you were as clever at doing your homework. All my life, people like that. Tidy up behind you. Do you notice when you're at school, when you're your age, do you notice everybody is an expert in pig farming? This room is like a pigsty! How did your parents learn all this about pigs? You're not like us. You don't even look like us. What keeps you out to that? What can you be doing at that hour of night? There's nothing open. What are you doing? Oh, I'm not stuck. I thought I'd cool it, you know. Those that crowd you're running around with. Protestants! Do you know, there's another thing. It's a great thing about Glasgow, where people just say things that don't actually mean anything to each other. You know, people come on buses and look at the assembled throng and go, "This is me since yesterday." Or we say, "It's no that." Dude, it's great. The last time I did a cycling thing. I cycled from England up into Glasgow, and I was coming along to Duke Street, and there was all shoppers all going along about their business, you know, buying square slice and all that. and there was two policemen on motorbikes guiding me along. I'm cycling away there, arse up, head down, you know, hoping to make it. And there was a big, and I'd forgotten how much Glasgow people say by the way. There was a big guy standing, you know. He's looking at the road. All the shoppers are going up and down here. He went, "Hey, they're the big one, by the way." I nearly fell off my bike, you know. "They're the big one, by the way, there." Oh, it's funny, isn't it? And you know, it's a changed... my father lives in Partick, and there's a discotheque there, which used to be a sort of, I think it was a base for shoving magazines around, for Menzies, Mingus, whatever they call themselves, to distribute, and it was a big building, and now it's a discotheque, and he was saying, he was chatting away, you know, and he's saying, "Yeah, it's got a disco down beside the Dolphin," that's a pub. It's down behind the Dolphin there. He says, "They tell me it's very good, and they have a gay night on a Monday." And I was trying to imagine a gay night in Partick. And I was like, my God. And I took my... And it's times have become so liberal. I think it's a wonderful thing, you know, a gay night in Partick. All these gay people must have been there before. But pretending, you know, "A pint of heavy, please." "Thank you, barman. What are you doing later?" "Thought we might go upstairs and play at punching each other in the face and other manly pursuits." And I took him, in turn, I took him to a restaurant in London which is run by gay people. And there were two Glasgow gays, and one was from Carlton, down at the Barras, and the other one was from the Gorbals. And I thought, now how does it feel to be gay in the Carlton, you know? And they were really effeminate guys, that's talking like that, the sibilant air. Now, how am I, and I said, how did it feel being gay in Glasgow? And he said, oh, it was all right. He said, because, well, he lived in Gorbals and I lived in the Carlton, and we used to meet in the suspension bridge. And I thought, well, good on you. It's changed so much. So when people now ask me questions about Glasgow, I don't know what they're talking about, because it has totally changed since my experience of it, you know.
Do you miss it?
Nah. That's past. I lived here for 35, how long? 38 years. That's plenty. If I miss it, I'll reload and fire again. It's... It's a very good town, and it taught me everything I'll ever know. So, do you know, I remember the Barras. Remember when the Barras was a good place? Because when I was a wee boy, there used to be knife throwers and all that. Not at people. Hey, Jimmy! Hey, that's no fair. You're taking liberties with his forehead. But there were men who did things, tricks. He was one of them. Suspension bridge Sue, they call them. So, there was guys who would like escape out of bags all chained up, and there was you get tips for the horses. There was guys who would give you tips for races, and they were all dressed up weird, and it was cracking whips. It was a great place to be. It was like a sort of medieval fairground almost. It was the end of that era. It was great fun, and there was a guy called Bennett, and I think he's the reason I'm a comedian. He was really funny, and he sold, like, I suppose it would be regarded by sort of middle-class people now, or upper-class, or upwardly mobile people, as trash. Those gilt coffee tables with galleons on them, and Spanish dancers and all that kind of stuff, and so many piece dinner sets and all that. But it was incredibly funny. And I used to love watching. My dad would take me, we'd get to the front, and one day, he used to have he'd always throw pens into the audience. I don't know where he got his cheap pens. He'd go, here you go! And he'd throw these pens, and he would say, a green yin for a fiend, and he'd throw, and a blue yin's for blue noses, easy! And Thistle supporters get nothing, you know. But he one day gave me a sandwich. He was having a piece and a cup of tea. And it was toast and corned beef. I'll never forget it. It's an unlikely combination, toast and corned beef. And he was eating, and he looked down at me, and he broke a bit off and gave me it. And that was the day I think I became a comedian. I always wanted to be like him, this Bennett guy. Just thought I'd tell you, you know.
See when you've got jokes like the Ivan the Terrible,
Aye.
where do you get the jokes from?
People tell me jokes, and I've heard them all mostly. The best, I was on my way to see Spain play in Scotland in Valencia, and I was going along the street in Valencia with a guy I knew. It was Frankie, you know Frankie Miller, the rock singer? I was with him. And we're walking along, and another guy from Mulgai, Joe McCourtney. There's the three of us walking along the street. And the Scottish supporters were all over on the other side of the street going to work, but we just happened to be on this side. We don't mix with them, ruffians, Scottish people. And a guy broke from the crowd and ran across the road. I'll never forget him because he made me famous, this guy. He crossed over the verge in the middle and said, hey, Biggin, come here. And he told me that story that I told in the Mike Parkinson show about the bike, parking the bike and the woman's bum. And when he left, I roared. I have this way of laughing when I'm really happy, where I just expel all the air. I can fall doing it. And I fell against this wall, and he disappeared, and I've never met him since. And I'd love to meet him again, because he told me that. But the Ivan the Terrible, I can't even remember who told me. The best jokes I've ever had have been from drummers. Drummers in rock bands, for some reason, know great jokes. The great drummers. And they've always got money, drummers. If you're going to fancy somebody from a rock band, go for a drummer. They've always got money. It's fine. Does anybody want to ask me anything?
What does your badge say?
It's the badge for this programme, which the name of which I've completely forgotten. Open to question. Would you like it? You can have it if you like.
Thanks.
It's open to... No, thanks, okay. In that case, I'll keep it. It's holding the lapel onto my jacket.
Why is it in half the records that you make, everybody seems to be called Shug?
I always pick on Shug and Malky. Anytime some little shit wanted to hit me, he was usually called Malky. And a Shug urged him to do it. Big Shuggy. Hey, Malky, get him. You know, I've battered more Shugs and Malkies than I've had hot dinners. But they were always Malky. And funnily, I never had a Malky friend until I met Malky McCormick, the cartoonist, who was an ace guy. But he was the nicest wee Malky I ever met. But in Shugs and Malkies and Senga, I always went for Sengas. And I like, they're all words because you can be really Glasgow with them. You know, with Senga you can bend the E. When you say, hey Senga, hey Senga, you come in here this minute. You know, and you can be, it's good fun when you play with the language. Of course, a lot of people take umbrage. And as I say, I always find myself on the defensive. You give Glasgow a bad name. Look, when I was in New York, I would say I like New York. It reminds me of Glasgow because in the event of a nuclear war, it'll look exactly the same after as it did before. And it's true. If you drive in through Parkhead or Brigton, it's a toilet. I didn't do that. I didn't build those slums, I didn't cause the unemployment, I didn't create gangs. They were all there before me. Mugging and stabbing and shouting and bawling and Celtic and Rangers and Orange bastards and Fenian bastards. They were all there before me. And will be long after me, unless somebody does something sharpish.
Why do you portray Glaswegians as ignorant, bigoted morons?
No, really.
Do I?
I think
Are you
do.
telling me Kilgacus was an ignorant, bigoted moron? When I played him, he was. Yeah. I think it's because I'm an ignorant, bigoted moron.
That's just what I was going to say.
No, you see, yeah, but you were fierce. She's. But it's because, well, first of all, I'm very limited when it comes to acting. Because this is the only accent I've got, really. And when I find a better one, I'll use that. But until that time comes, I'm stuck with this one. And I'm hairy, and I look quite formidable sometimes. You know, I've got funny eyes. And so, when it comes to casting me in a dramatic role, they're not going to give me a cooking programme. You're going to make me an ignorant moron with greasy hair. And I love doing it. I love aping that moron. Somebody has to play the moron. But you know, and I love doing it. I think it's such fun playing bigoted morons. They're so colourful, bigoted morons. You know, they could make you some kind of Wally, some insurance salesman. But I think Scots have a real bee in their bonnet, and so have the Irish. The only people you ever see on television, they're all playing hard men and drunks. But it's just not true. There's all sorts of things. Look at those Bill Forsyth movies. It's full of nice people with rosy cheeks. They're no ignorant, bigoted morons.
But Smash Ice Cream vans.
Well, stuff like that, yeah. There's all sorts of Glasgow parts. But I like to play characters from the seamier side, which does exist. You kid on that it doesn't exist. It's folly. You know, that there is a seamier side, and it's such joy to play in there, you know, because you can really go over the top and be a big hard man that you always wanted to be, but we're always a bit of a Jessie, so you couldn't do it. Oh, it's closing time again, you'll have to leave us. Oh, you've got that faraway look in your eye. We've got to hose the lavvy down and count the tumblers and wipe the stour from off tomorrow's pies. Oh, the Scottish pubs are going to be just like England. They're letting us drink up an hour late. but that won't affect the crowd that drink in my pub, 'cause they're all steaming drunk at 8:30. Oh yes, it's closing time again, you'll have to leave us. Yous have got a farewell look into your eyes. We've got to hold slavy to a cutie tumbler. And I was shooting off my mind. You should see the way they come in here at open. As a wonder they're allowed out on their own aim. Stone cold sober, they come in like Mickey Rooney. 3 pints later, they barge out like Big John Wayne. Oh yes, it's closing time again, you'll have to leave us. For you have got a far way to change it out. Oh yes, we've got to hold your rabbit to a cootie someplace. Gun yourself some, try my best. I was shooting off. Oh, there's gonna be big changes made in this pub. There'll be topless lassies serving up your beer. Well, I told the boss that's sex discrimination. I've been wearing topless trousers here for years. Oh, Jay's a closing time again, you'll have to leave us. Oh, you've got that faraway look in your eyes. We've got to hose the lavvy down and count the tumblers.
Tonight, Johnny. Tonight, Johnny. All right.
Say, let's get comfortable here. What is it? Who is it? What?
I'm glad your daughter Daisy's not going to be brought up in Glasgow.
Am I glad? No, I'm not glad, and I'm not unhappy. It never crossed my mind. Hey, it wouldn't bother me at all if she was brought up in Glasgow. It wouldn't bother me for a second. I think a Glasgow upbringing's great. If there's a thing I hate, it's Glasgow people going on television or going on the radio and saying, well, I had a Glasgow upbringing and so I had to fight my way. Bullshit. Fighting your way up and fighting your way, and then you talk to them and you find they come from Byers Road. They never fought any of their lives. Bullshit. In my entire life, I've been in about 4 fights, and I caused them all myself. I've never seen a gang in my life. I heard of it plenty, but I'm sure it was all myth and codology. It's true. Bringing people up in Glasgow is a great idea. Yeah.
Where did you get the idea for your banana boots?
It was a funny idea. It was a cross between 2 things. I wanted to look different from everybody else. And my idea was to get... First I said, I want to look sexy. No, I know. But people thought, you know, comedians all look... They're either overfed and underworked looking, fat and sweaty looking, or they're weird looking, thin, weird looking buggers. So I thought, let's get sexy. I'll get leather clothes or something. I'll dress like a rock singer. And then I thought, who cares? Have you ever worn leather on stage? You lose about 4 stones just making it to the microphone. So I thought, I thought of big pink furry boots to look ridiculous. And then I was doing the Great Northern Welly Boot Show, and John Byrne, the artist, designed all sorts of wellies for it. And one of them was called the Reggae Welly, and it was a banana. And I thought, well, I went to a guy called Edmund Smith, and they had a company here in Glasgow, this bunch of artistic genius people who made all sorts of weird things for discotheques and all that. And they did the Muscular Arms pub when it was in Glasgow. They did all those weird designs, and they made them for me. And it was great. I mean, it worked incredibly well.
Where did you get the joke about the clarinet player?
Now, I had that one for years and years, the holes in the willy thing. I think I heard it when I was in the Clyde, when I was a welder. And then the way you're sitting for ages, you're at a party maybe, someplace, and it goes on for, it's like 6 in the morning, and you're all sitting around, and you're sober again, and you're talking. You can't go home yet, you're waiting for a driver, and you're all talking, telling stories and jokes and all that. And up came that. It just don't know what. It came out of this filing cabinet up to, and everybody fell about. So I thought I must put that back into the act, and I did, and it worked real well. You know, and it's away now. But it led to something else. Oh yeah, it led to the bit about if you farted, and it didn't go. If it went fart in your own voice. And that went in a way different subject, and I dropped the joke completely and went away along those lines. And now I don't do any of that stuff, all that farting, and I kind of miss it because it was great. It got a funny, shocked laugh from the audience, and funnily enough, women laughed the loudest. Women are very honest in an audience. They laugh, they're the first to get onto things like that, and they laugh the loudest. And I think it's because it reminds them of guys who drink too much and as a result fart too much, or eat too much curries, or behave that way. You know. I'm sorry, love.
If you'd been brought up in a city other than Glasgow, do you think your sense of humour would have been different?
Where's she? Oh, there. I think it would be. But I think the Glasgow, Liverpool, Newcastle, Belfast, and to a degree the east side of London have a very similar sense of humour. Well, they had anyway. I think all the senses of humour are all merging because of the way you receive entertainment now, like television and records mainly. People, like when I was a wee boy, there was a lot of theatres in Glasgow, and they all had comedians, you know, like Harry Gordon and various other guys, Jack Radcliffe, who was my hero. And they were all different, and Stanley Baxter was a young comedian then. They were all getting on with it, Jimmy Logan. And it was a full houses everywhere, and they were all completely different, and it was great. But they all had this weird Glasgow humour. And Glasgow has always specialised in laughing at itself, really. They were always kind of mocking Glasgow, these guys. Either Lex McLean doing it about Rangers, or Jimmy Logan doing it about coal men and all that, and mocking the place gently. You know, I think I mocked it, not so gently. But I think that is kind of disappearing. Comedians are becoming more... throughout the world, there's a great sameness in comedians now, and I think it's a bit of a shame, but I think it's... you can't escape from it. It's just got to be that way, the way entertainment's going to the masses.
Catherine Spears from Highland. Catherine.
Do you have any particular reasons for no longer doing any shows in Glasgow?
Not really. A newspaper once said about me, they quoted me as saying, "I will never play Glasgow again." I never, ever in my life said that. They blatantly lied, as they often do about me. And, oh yeah, I mean, you can't do these things they say I do. I'd be dead. You know, there's only one wee body in here. You can't do all these wild and weird things they accuse me of. I never ever said it. But the reason I haven't played, I did the King's Theatre a couple of years ago. And the reason I haven't been in Glasgow since is because I've been a lot of other places doing it. And I'm now doing a tour of wee towns. And the reason I'm doing Paisley and not Glasgow is because I haven't been there for ages. And I've got nothing new to say to Glasgow. You know, I'm going out in these little towns to change the act, and when it's ready, I'll be back. I'm not avoiding the place. Please believe me. As a matter of fact, I've never been in Glasgow so often in my life. Since I left to live somewhere else, I find myself here all the time. I promise I'm not avoiding it. I'm glad you gave me the opportunity to say that I never, ever said that.
Are you proud of your Glaswegian background?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I love it. People used to ask me, they would say, "Hey, are you Scottish?" And I'd say, "Well, I'm Glaswegian, yeah." And because there's a massive difference between Glaswegian and being Scottish. And I love it. I like how can I say, it has a certain aura about it, because there's a lot of myths in this town. You've always got something to talk about when you come from Glasgow. If you come from Edinburgh, they say, "That's a lovely castle," and then they're struggling for something to say about Edinburgh. You know, but when to Glasgow, they say, "Is it really like that?" I'm proud to be Glaswegian.
At
Yeah, I'm
least
very proud
it's great
indeed.
material for your own conversations then. Sandra Watt from Woodside did a question as well.
Did you enjoy your school days?
I hated it. I did, I hated it. I quite liked my primary school. I thought it was quite good fun. And then I went to secondary. I don't know what happened. I kind of quit in second year. I kind of, mentally, I mean, I was there, but I was with them, but not of them. Looking out the window. And I remember I left one day. I just went for a wee walk, and I ended up in beyond Hamilton. And this was from Govan. I walked away through the town and away out to, do you know where Calder Park Zoo is? Away out there, to Uddingston. And I was looking at a crematorium. There's one on the other side from the zoo, there's a crematorium. There was people going in and out, and I was profoundly moved. And then I walked to Dumchapel from there. I get in about 9 o'clock at night. And that was the start of something awful. I just sort of mentally, I couldn't handle school anymore. And I kind of killed time until I joined an engineering course in my 3rd year, which took me into halfway through 4th year. And I come out of there, I had a couple of engineering certificates that nobody would believe and wouldn't give me a job as an engineer, so I became a welder. And I was really glad to get out of there. I was 15 and a half and delighted to see the back of the place. You know, I had these engineering qualifications that did me absolutely no good whatsoever. And I went back for the sort of equivalent of the GCE, what's the Glasgow one, the 3rd year leaving certificate they used to call it, and nobody could find it. And then I did a programme nationwide for television, and they went back to my primary school, and they had no record of me ever being there.
Nicola from Highland.
Well, I don't know.
Your song about the janitor,
The Janny, yeah.
does that stem back to your own school days?
No, it was a mixture of Jannies and doormen, and I've always had any time I've tried to, there are types of people who can sneak into exclusive clubs and nobody asks them a question. And there are people who can be members of exclusive clubs and they get stopped at the door every damn time. And I'm one of them. Sorry, not tonight, but I'm a member. Blow. I've hated doormen all my life, and Jannies, they always caught me doing something that shocked me and got me into trouble. And it was a mixture of every Janny or doorman I ever met, I think.
Is there someone down there?
There was yeah.
Was there ever a teacher at school you always took the mickey out of? And if there was, what was it about him or her?
Oh yeah, it was a music teacher. And the poor woman. She was saddled with us, right? All these idiots from Govan and Partick, Kinnan Park, Pollock and all these places. They're all there, right? All the Little Richard fans and I was singing. Rock and roll had just been invented, right? They invented rock and roll when I was 12 or 13. And this poor woman's going, right? Step gaily on. You don't want Jerry Lee Lewis. With luminous socks on and sideburns. And I'll never forget the worst thing that ever happened to this poor. And I was one of the lads. I was in there. I'm ashamed. No, I'm not. But sometimes I lie awake and say, oh God, what did I do to you? And we had a song called Old Zip Coon. Right. You wouldn't even be allowed to sing that because of the words. Coon. Race Relations Board. Out! Old Zip Coon. And it was Old Zip Coon, he played all day until he scared his friends away. He played all night by the lights of the moon, but he never played anything but Old Zip Coon, right? She said, right, class! And he said, what? Now sing! Old Zip Coon, you played all day till he... Stop that! Hey, what are you doing? Put that away! Silly boy! Here we go. And this is one, we get that for ages. I just didn't know anything else. This is bloody Old Zip Coon. Off we went. Old Zip. But this is a fact. There was two funny things in that class. One was a guy called John Oliver. from Drew Chapel, Ollie, he get the blame for everything. She'd say, who made that noise? Oliver! The whole class, a sea of arms, go, Oliver! And then Oliver outside! And then one day, Oliver left. He joined the Clyde Navigation Trust as a carpenter apprentice. And this wee seat was empty. There was nobody in it. Ollie, gone. Right. Who made that noise? And everybody went, Oliver! This wee empty seat. It was a magic moment. But we got Old Zip Coon. Now, everybody, pay attention and sing along. And for some reason, everybody sang it. And it was one of those things. Mob rule is like this. When a mob gets going, it's hard to stop, and they all instinctively know what each other's doing. You know, when Old Zip Coon played all day, and she'd never heard it so loud. She was, oh, wonderful! Julie scared his friends away, played all night to the light of the moon, never played anything but dum-dum-dum. She stopped, but Old Zip Coon played all day, Julie scared his friends away, played all night to the light of the moon. And then the guy at the front got up and walked out, and the whole class went, Old Zip Coon. She's going, come back! Yes, now please, boys, sit down! Old Zip Coon, played all day, gone forever. I'm sure the poor woman fainted. I don't know what she must have done, but nobody came back. Everybody went home. Wonderful. But all in all, it was I loved secondary education. There was nothing wrong with the school. They're in no way to blame for what happened to me. Something mentally cracked in me at secondary school. I couldn't handle it anymore. Something just went, enough. And I drifted off. I'm no worse. I'm none the worse for it, because I've always felt that. And I'm not going to give you this university of life bullshit, right? But, because you know, yes, there are several kinds of university, and I happen to go to the University of Life. Aye, and you failed there too. But, no, it's just that I've always felt that imagination is a great tool to have when you leave school. It's a toolbox full of not so much ideas as the ability to think sideways and in a more broad, a lateral way. And you can only get that from reading, and I've read avidly all my life. So I don't think I missed anything by flipping out at school. I wouldn't advise anybody to do it. Why is this man staring at that camera? Hello, I'm a camera starer. I'm a fully paid up member of the Camera Starers Union. Another word out of you and we'll stare at you, son. You'll know all about it. Your willy will fall off. Well, thank you very much for watching. It's been a very pleasant programme with Billy Connolly, pervert and raconteur. Next week, we have a really good time with Bishop. Who's just been given the Nobel Prize for more visits to the VD clinic than anybody else in history. Do you know that Bishop Tutu is the only happy man I've ever seen being given a Nobel Prize? Most of them go, aye, thanks very much. Tell the wife, she takes care of that. He went, yes! Now we can stick out those white vampires! You're getting it, Voter! You, big Voter, you're getting it, son! Now that brings me back, Mr. Connolly, to why do you always display the Glasgow character as a half man? We think you're a big jobby. And you've got no business in here. There's people in here with A-levels, you know. There's people had a shower to come here. And I bet your underwear's a bit suspect too, if you ask me. A good wash would do you the world of good. And another thing. I'm fed up. See, the world's... do you know what happens? Like as I told you, I tried to sort of stretch my imagination a bit, and it's helped me at being the more bizarre kind of comedian. You shut your face! You shut your face or you're outside! Another word out of you! Just you take that smirk off your face, girl! Oh, look what you made me do! You made me slather over these people! Do you know what's so happened to me? It was a shocking, and I hope it never happens to you. I hope you study things at school and learn stuff. This is a fact. I was in the car the other day. I was going to a place, believe it or not, called Netherwallop. There was a festival at Netherwallop. It was brilliant, you know. But I was on my way there. I was driving along, and I was listening to the radio, and after about half an hour, I had to come to the conclusion I had no idea what anybody had been talking about. Because it was the end of the news and people are saying, and now the Financial Times 30-share index. It could be Swahili poetry. I have no idea what the Financial Times 30-share index is. People keep saying, it's all right for you, you're loaded. I don't know. If the Financial Times 30-share index turns around on the Dow Jones and says, Connolly, you're skint, I'd have to believe them. Then on comes the weather. Malin, Shetland, Cyclone, 59, 34, 70. What are these people talking about? Then it's Gardeners Club, or whatever it's called. That thing for Bristol with gardeners. They're talking about herbaceous perennials. Then have you noticed how scruffy hitchhikers are getting? When I hitchhiked at Levi's, I used to put my hair under a woolly hat and go, hello, please pick me up, I'm a very nice person. I'm trying to get to a folk festival. Look, banjo, nice guy. No, there's guys there with purple Mohican haircuts, you know, naked with a chainsaw. Tattoos in the willy. I got a notice that says, I want to rape your family. But apart from that, Sir Walter Scott's a good idea. I've spent better nights with hemorrhoids. You ever read Sir Walter Scott? Oh, God help us all. Did they still make you read that at school? You don't get enough Mark Twain, in my opinion. It's a wonderful writer. I was just saying that. What do you like, my earring? My tail? That's my radio mic. That's not, my bum isn't that shape. It's a square bit at the back. My God, he isn't a human being, is it? He's battery powered. All of these men, all of these men have been fitted with pacemakers. Only one has a Duracell battery.
Billy, what can we say except thank you very much indeed.
And how come I get nothing in my glasses? Oh, please! Let's go home! My fingers are frayed at the edge! My hands are swollen! I'll never get my gloves on! If you keep one still and hit it works. This woman thinks I'm a seal.